How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews, back with yet another review. Yeah, a little bit of barrel-aged mixed stoutiness in the form of Southern Swells Brewing's. This is their Northern Roots Bourbon Barrel-Aged Imperial Stout. Super excited to give this a whirl. Why? Kind of in the mood for a stout right now. 2, sent to me by Ralph. Ralph always sends fucking killer fucking beers. Love you, brother. And 3, I kind of dig Southern Swells and what they do. And this is the first thing I'm going to have from these guys that's, you know, big barrel-aged stout kind of thing. So that's always fun to kind of dive into that for the first time. So yeah, let's cut to the chase. See what she's got as far as what it says on here. Southern Swells Brewing, Bourbon Barrel-Aged Northern Roots Imperial Stout, 11% alcohol by volume. This is actually a variant. It says up here, it says an ode to our New England upbringing. Northern Roots is a big, chewy Imperial Stout aged in St. Augustine Distillery oak bourbon barrels. And they go through what they put in it, you know, hops and malt and all that stuff. Then they have 3 check marks. And they have the Bourbon Barrel Aged version that is not checked. Then they have the Bourbon Barrel Aged Fire variant, which is a habanero pepper, cacao nibs, vanilla, and cinnamon. So it's kind of that kind of stout. That is not checked. The next one is checked is the Bourbon Barrel Aged Coffee variant. Bold bean coffee roasters, Finca La Roca coffee, and cacao nibs. So you're talking about chocolate, you're talking about coffee, you're talking about stouts, you're talking about barrels, you're talking about hopeful deliciousness. So there you go. Label-wise, it's not, you know, Southern Swells, man. They just kind of do the black and white picture with a little bit of kind of ghetto graphics, and I'm kind of becoming a fan of it, to be perfectly honest with you. I like ghetto labels, and they come off ghetto in a good way. It's not a disparaging comment, so let's give this a pour. Oh yeah, dude. That's fucking motor oil. So we're off to a good start here. You know, I always talk about, you know, looks do not a beer make. Well, when you're talking about Imperial Stouts, it looks like motor oil. You're off to a good fucking start. Happy pinky finger. What I like my coffee to look like color-wise. Decent creaminess, super tight compact bubbles, and she be dark, man. I mean, God, that's about as dark you could just fuck a couch up with your dirty feet. That's how dark it is. So yeah, she looks the part. Let's see what she smells like. It smells pretty damn good, to be perfectly honest with you. I keep huffing because there's a balance to it. Listen, we're talking about 11% coffee barrel-aged Imperial Stout. We're not talking about balancing, you know, fucking My Precious Moment figurines here. We're talking about balancing fucking race cars on fire. So there is balance, but it's a balance of intensity here. So it's not the biggest nose in the history of mankind, but what you have here is you have a big, huge stout, check. You actually smell the beer in there. You're getting nice roasted malts, touch of bittering. You get the coffee in there. Not huge, nice coffee nose to it, but nothing too crazy. Again, a touch of bittering to it too. You're getting a little bit of that kind of bourbon in the barrel, both about equal. The bourbon comes off kind of like not super cherried bourbon, kind of like a kind of caramelized, reduced kind of bourbon liquid. It's not hot is what I'm saying. There's no booziness to it, and you get a little bit of char to it. There's a marshmallow effect going on. There's a bit of chocolate, but it's all very kind of in tune with each other. There's not a lot of kind of jarring nose in one direction or the other. I would tell you right now that like vanilla kind of marshmallow thing might be the leader in the clubhouse nose-wise here. Just beating out everything else. It's still within parameters of being in tune. Parameters in tune? Is that a thing? I don't know, but it works for me, so it smells fantastic. I'm going to drink it. That's tasty. That's tasty in a way that you don't normally see. When you're talking about these big stouts, you have a lot of breweries that end up going very new school on them. And by new school, I mean they go... Mika. She likes it. The bittering malt, the bittering of the coffee, the bittering of everything in it isn't kind of stripped to the point where it doesn't exist. That's probably the best part about it. It's not like a super cold pressed coffee. It's not like a malt that's been processed in a way and brewed in a way that you kind of lose every kind of bittering component out of it. That's not the case. You're actually getting a decent amount of bitterness from the malt. You're getting a decent amount of bitterness from the coffee. You're getting a nice kind of bitterness and from that kind of smoky, kind of dirty, kind of barrel char from it. While at the same time, the beer is not overly sweet too. Sure, it's a sweet beer. It's 11% stout, but it's also it's more bittering than it is sweet perceptionally. And I think that works for it in its favor. You're getting that marshmallow thing. You're getting that vanilla thing. You're getting all the bits and pieces, but it's not, it comes off, since it doesn't come off super sweet, it comes off more drinkable. And since it comes off more drinkable, it comes off pretty fucking delicious, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah. Tasty, delicious, not super dense, not super thick. Just chuggable. It's a really well-made stout, let's put it that way. And honestly, when you're having a first kind of swing at a brewery who I think just celebrated their first year brewing, so, you know, take all that in, is a pretty fucking delicious attempt. And a beer I think they did pretty well with. Have I had better bourbon barrel-aged coffee stouts? Yes. But I just keep leaning on that non-overly sweet, kind of and it's not super bittering, it's just more that it's not super sweet, that it just ends up being something that really fucking just makes me fucking happy. So yeah, it's super delicious, super tasty. It's, like I said, not the best thing I've ever had, bourbon barrel-aged stout-wise, but it's definitely worthy of being in the conversation, and it's also the fact that it doesn't come off super sweet. This kind of tickles me pink. So let's talk about it. Is it one of the better coffee stouts? I've already talked about this. Yes, in the conversation, not one of the leaders, but I mean, I've had so many. It's a matter of others being better, not not being good. Double negative time. Value and availability, I don't know. I know it was kind of limited availability. I don't know what it costs. Ralph or somebody down there, maybe Scotch for Everyone can chime in. I know that both those guys are close to these people, and leave you with, if you like, what will you like this? If you like, you know, a well-balanced bourbon barrel-aged stout. There's coffee in there, but it's not going to be some coffee head kind of beer. It's not like super upfront in a coffee format. You're getting the coffee, but it's not insane. I didn't even really talk about it that much. But you're getting a beautifully well-done stout that's well-made and balanced and not overly sweet. So there you go. If you like your bourbon barrel stouts, but you think a lot of them get overly sweet, then this one will definitely fit the bill, because it's tasty, delicious, and not overly sweet. Who would have thunk it? So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, anywhere in between, down there, words and stuff and things. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Untapped, Massive Beers, all four of those places. If you want to check me out somewhere else, in the podcasting end of things, just go into the Goobs and type in Beer Massive, beer, and then massif.com. You find it in iTunes, the Stitchers, website, the whole nine. Podcast, brewing reviews, roundtables. Just about to record one right now. People are coming in. That's why you hear my dog. And there you go. Another review down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice big stout right now. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.